The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. Personally, the cynic in me thinks that a more appropriate title should be The Statistical Impossibility of Love at First Sight, but that doesn't really fit with the content of the book, so I guess I'll give that title a go. And this is a realistic, contemporary, romantic drama novel, and it was enjoyable enough. I'll give it a solid 3 stars out of 5. I think that perhaps because I am a cynic regarding romance and things, I might have been expecting to enjoy it less than I did. But I mean, it was yeah, it was an easy enough read, and I actually found myself becoming emotionally engaged in some aspects of the plot. Like it was more so a subplot that deviated a little from the main love story focus, but it actually got my attention a fair bit and resonated with me a little bit, so I think that helped me to appreciate the book more than I would have. I feel a bit guilty, as I always do, for not loving things that other people love, but especially since I saw John Green he gave a mention of this novel in a recent video on the Vlogbrothers channel, and he really loved it, especially since Jennifer E. Smith is apparently a nerdbiter, TFTBA. So, yeah, feeling bad because I'm not in agreement with John Green. How evil am I? But I did not dislike the book. It features our protagonist here, Hadley, is an American teenager. She's 17, I think, on her way to London to go to her father's wedding. He's remarrying. 2 years prior, he left Hadley and her mum for this new woman, and now they're getting hitched, and so Hadley is understandably reluctant to go, and she misses her flight and has to get the next one, and while waiting for the next plane meets this lad named Oliver, who is an English boy, and he's on his way home for something that he's not describing. He's been studying in the US. Yeah, so they get to talking, and of course, as fate would have it, they're sitting next to one another on the plane, or I think they're sitting in the same section anyway, and they swap seats, etc. So they spend the next 7 hours together on the plane and fall in love and all such things. So oddly enough, the book, I don't think, really contained the notion of insta-love, so it wasn't an immediate, oh, I love you kind of thing, but it was certainly instant attraction and, you know, amicability at first sight. I guess they got along, and they, you know, she obviously found him very cute, and it was clear that he thought she was attractive and whatnot. So that is a much more plausible premise, I guess, to be working with, which I was very grateful for. It still was that, you know, it still of course eventuated that after the 7 hours on the plane, Hadley, you know, believed herself to be in love with this guy and wanted to spend all her time with him, and her thoughts were on him a lot more so than the situation she was going into, which was her dad's wedding. I felt the imbalance of that a little bit it grated on my nerves. I think, as it always does, I tend to have problems when romance overshadows everything else in a person's life in these books, especially when there is something else that is going on and you think, well, that's a pretty pressing issue, or, you know, that's also important, but all the attention is being given to this romance and this potential person. That often drives me a little nuts, especially since I could empathise with her feelings about her father remarrying and things, and the backstory that's given with regards to her family and what went on there it's revealed bit by bit through the book, and I was connecting so much more to that than I was to Hadley's relationship with Oliver. So I guess I wanted more attention focused on that. In the end, it ended up being a little bit more present, I guess, and I did feel that it was handled nicely. I still think it could have been. I know that's not the point of the book, and obviously the title, I mean, is hinting at what the entire thing should be covering, and I'm sure that most readers might have found her family drama stuff to be boring, or deviating from the main focus, and, you know, taking away the time they wanted to be spending with Hadley and Oliver and all that kind of thing. And I can understand that. I guess it's just a personal preference for me because it was resonating with my own experiences, so I was connecting to that a lot more, and I thought when it was handled, it was done nicely. So I really appreciated that, you know, had any part in the drama of the novel, so I was grateful for that. Hadley and Oliver as characters that were okay. I didn't really feel like I ever knew them very well. I knew more of Hadley's backstory and her feelings about her family than I knew her as a person. Like, I couldn't conjure up really who she was in my mind. I couldn't really conjure up who Oliver was in my mind either. So it was sort of hard to get a feeling for them as people and them together as well. So, yeah, I mean, their conversations were okay enough, and it brought some perspective in for Hadley with regards to what she was going through, and, you know, they kind of balanced each other out nicely, and, their conversations on the plane and that were entertaining enough. I didn't see it as this groundbreaking, life-changing experience or anything that Hadley seemed to think it was, and Oliver too. And it still moved too quickly for me. I guess I'm just, you know, I know it's fiction, but I like to see things move at a more gradual pace with romance, because that just seems how life happens to me, anyway. And I would find that more trustworthy than something that's really, really quick flying at you. But I mean, I didn't really have any problems with the characters. I just didn't feel like I knew them very well. They weren't fully fleshed out enough for me. This is a really minor gripe, but it drives me nuts in movies and in books when someone is referred to as being British, because I will try and link the video I watched recently that explains this well. But as anyone who is from Great Britain can tell you, British is not English. It's a very big difference. Great Britain encompasses, to my knowledge, England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. Is that correct? I'm sure that is correct. So, you know, if you say someone has a British accent, that could mean anything. There are so many dialect options that could be inherent in that really broad description there, so it drives me nuts when I hear that or read that. I'm like, you're not a British person. You are from somewhere specific in Great Britain. You are from Northern Ireland, or you are from somewhere in Scotland. You are from somewhere in England, which could mean any kind of dialect. There's a million dialects to be had in that country alone. So that was sort of right. Every time it's like his cute British accent, I'm like, I can't hear that in my head, because it's like this amalgamation of all the potential accents this kid could have. So I'm like, I don't know what you sound like. So that just drives me nuts. I don't know why people do that when it is so easy to say his cute Scottish accent, or just say anything. I'm assuming he's from England, so say where he's from. Good grief. Anyway, that's just me. It always drives me nuts. But I mean, you know, I like England as a setting. We weren't there for very long, but I like being there. I would like to go there for real, but I love going there in fictional scenarios. The setting of the plane, I think, was an effective, like, caged room, you know, situation to be in, where you have to get to know someone, I guess. Given the context of this story. I personally, on plane rides, have never felt the urge to talk to a stranger and get to know their life story and form a bond with them. And when I've been on planes, I've never seen strangers doing that to one another either. Everyone seems to just keep to themselves or talk to family and friends or sleep. So, yeah, I couldn't really connect to what they were doing on the plane, but I mean, I'm sure it can happen. So, and it's a good scenario to set people up in, so excuse me, it was enjoyable enough as a story. I found myself connecting to the subplot a lot more than the central love story, but yeah, it was enjoyable enough, and I'd recommend it, because I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it a lot, especially if you like your romances. So that's 3 stars out of 5 for the gosh darn it, the Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight.